up, everybody? It's Bergerac, and today we are talking about Tectone, and since he is a Gooner Gacha gamer, I figured I would play Genshin today instead of Overwatch. You've been watching me play Overwatch badly for a month. I figured you can watch me play Genshin badly for like a day. But we're discussing his response to the drama surrounding him and his father. I think it's just ridiculous that it even got to this point, and the fact that he felt like he needed to do this because it only made everything way worse, and it's hilarious. If you don't know who Tectone is, he is a Twitch and YouTube streamer. He has almost 1 million followers on Twitch. He has over 800,000 on YouTube. He was a member of the OTK group. He left after he was controversially accused of being abusive towards his ex-partner. He denied everything. He said that you have 2 weeks to give an apology, and if you don't, there will be legal actions. 2 weeks came and went, nothing happened. He is currently under investigation himself because of these abuse allegations, so we'll see how that goes for him. But what we're talking about today is the insanity surrounding him and his father, because recently he decided to snap at Frogan because she made a very controversial statement about how she thinks that the people who serve in the military deserve PTSD, like if they willingly go and join, even if they're aware of like fucked up shit that happens in the military. Very, very spicy statement that she made, and he came out and said that his dad served in the military, so how dare she say such a thing? Well, the funny thing is that Tectone is known for being a liar and for just kind of stirring shit as does a little bit of trolling to kind of, you know, get a little bit of attention, and people didn't believe him, so this led to them doing some digging, and they discovered that while his father did indeed serve in the military, he was also a piece of human shit. So there's a article that was unearthed from a congressional record from the House of Representatives in 2011, and this is also this was filmed as well, so we have a recording of this, but it broke down the shit that he did, and it was so bad that there's actually case law based on what he did. According to the congressional record here, it says Colonel Robertson, that's his father, Iron Mike Robertson, was convicted by a military judge of 14 charges, including having porn on his government computer, harassing sexually 3 women, and assaulting 5 women. 8 women that served under his command testified at great cost to their careers and their privacy. Despite repeated warnings, Colonel Robertson emailed porn to friends and female subordinates. A lieutenant colonel who was the chief nurse under his command said that it split the staff and created a toxic environment. Wow, what a shock. Well, the punishment was for someone in the military convicted of 14 counts of assaulting and harassing his subordinates. He was not sent to prison. He was not stripped of his standing in the military. He was ordered to pay a $30,000 fine over 3 months and spent 3 months in prison. He still retired from the Army. His conviction didn't affect his Army retirement or his health insurance that's paid for by the federal government. And he was not required to register as a sex offender despite assaulting 5 women and harassing 3 other that we know of. His dad's a piece of shit. And what's really funny about this is that even in his response video, that's 1 hour and 45 minutes long and has no business being that long, he basically explains to us in further detail why his dad's a piece of shit and why he's an irredeemable fuck and no one should be talking about him or trying to defend him. And yet, here he is, taking 1.5 hours to defend said fucked up person. So in his video, he breaks down basically the relationship that he had with his parents. He talks about how he was allegedly abused by his mother and then went to live with his dad. His dad bought an apartment for him and his 2 older brothers when they were all minors because he had a separate family that he lived with at that point and apparently didn't want to blend them, so he just bought an apartment and left his kids there. Again, everybody was underage children that he put in this other apartment. So my immediate thought was, why didn't anybody call CPS? Why didn't you call the cops? Because, you know, the cops were involved. Lawyers were involved when he was allegedly abused by his mom. He says that his dad made fun of him for not being into athletics and that he wanted to play video games. He was the failure of the family and his dad bullied him for it. His dad was physically and emotionally abusive and neglectful, but it's fine. It's fine. It's his dad, so that's all excusable, right? Like, I'm sitting here and I was watching his video and I'm waiting for the point where it's like, okay, so why are we defending him? Why are we mad that Hassan brought this up? Because again, the big point of this drama, what made it hit fever pitch, is that Hassan was talking about Tectone because Tectone was going after him. And he brought up Tectone's dad. He didn't even know that Tectone's dad was such a piece of shit that there is federal case law based on his behaviors. But he made a joke that said it's genetic that he's going to be that he's a rapist because his dad was. But I mean, free speech, right? Who gives a shit? It's a joke. And Tectone got pissy about it. And it's like, well, no, he's not saying that you're a rapist because your dad's a rapist. He's saying you're a rapist because You're currently under investigation for abusing your ex-wife. It was just a joke because your dad also did very similar fucked up shit to other people. But what really pissed me off about his video was like the very end of it. He basically spent the last hour of his stream trauma dumping about his fucked up childhood. I think it's incredibly unfortunate that that was his life growing up, that he was treated poorly, that he was neglected, that his parents abused him. But that's not stuff that I think he should be telling anybody online in detail. I think it's fine to be open about the struggles you've had in your life, but we as an audience, hundreds of thousands of people, or in this case 76,000 people on this clip alone, do not need to know all of these details. Who you should be talking to about this is a therapist. You need to work through this trauma, because something tells me you haven't talked to a therapist since you talked to one after the initial abuse happened when you lived with your mom. This is not stuff that we need to know as a general public. You're telling a bunch of strangers on the internet this insane sob story about how fucked your life is because you lost a internet Twitter fight with Hassan Piker, of all people. I don't understand why this is what's happening, especially because he's the one who brought his dad up first. He's the one who brought his dad onto his streams. I saw this clip of his dad saying, "Who's Hassan Abi?" And calls him Hassan a bitch. Like, his dad's the one that's taking shots first. Like, this goblin who's a fucked up piece of shit who you still not only have in your life, you're actively putting him on screen for your followers to see and interact with.
No, it's hilarious.
Fuck Hassan.
Okay, guys. All right, guys. Hey,
Hassan a bitch.
It's been a great story.
He says that his dad has cancer, and so, you know, family's fucked up, it's complicated, but that's all you have, so he's trying to spend what little time he has with him left. And the entire time he's saying this, I'm just sat here like, he neglected you, he abused you, he treated you like shit, he went to prison because he was a piece of shit, and you're defending him because... why? You know, I can understand that having a fucked up past and having daddy issues like he clearly does because of his childhood has him behaving this way and trying to have a relationship with this man in spite of the fact that he went to jail because he assaulted women. 5 women that we know of, again, just to be clear. But I don't think it makes a lot of sense that you're gonna sit here and, you know, cry out as you're striking somebody because they are clowning on your dad for being a human piece of shit. Like, clearly the justice system failed when it came to your pops. Literally a fucked up sex pest criminal, but someone that you have willingly put into the public space. This shit has been public information for the last 14 years, and you're sitting here bitching about it like somebody just pulled this out of an archive that nobody has had access to for the last decade and a half. So Tectone really annoyed me by saying all this shit and basically taking an hour and a half to make excuses for his abusive piece of shit dad and then trying to make himself a victim. But what's the most annoying thing to me is the clip right at the very end.
Fast forward to now and kind of getting the full picture on what my father has done. It's kind of a lot emotionally to take in. I don't really know. I don't really know how to feel about it. I obviously feel awful. And so I suppose due to this all being resurfaced by Hassan, I suppose I will no longer be interacting with my father in any way, shape, or form on my stream. Anyways, we're gonna be having a podcast with Dan Saltman later, which I bet is gonna be so great. We have a great podcast with Dan Saltman and Nux Taku. That will be happening in 53 minutes. Hassan's favorite streamers, and it's gonna be great. Yep, it's gonna be great.
So the reason that this clip annoys me is he basically says at the beginning he's not going to talk about the really bad shit that happened to him because he doesn't want to talk about it. And then he drops it right at the end while he's pretending to cry. And then as soon as he's done trauma dumping and, you know, farming sympathy points, all of a sudden the tears have stopped and everything's fine and everything's great. I would not be sitting here dumping all of this very sensitive, delicate, difficult information on my followers and then going, but hey, that's it, that's everything, everything's fine now. So now that I'm done crying, let's go have a conversation with canceled YouTubers. Let's have an interview. Woo! To me, that just said, okay, he faked that. He's faking. He doesn't actually feel devastated about this. He's just pretending to be sad to farm extra points. He's pretending to cry to get extra points. And that really pissed me off. If I had done something like that and I had had that childhood and I decided to reveal it to my hundreds of thousands of followers who have no business knowing that kind of deeply scarring information about me, and I cried, I would say, okay, I'm good. I'm getting offline now. I need time to like recover from unearthing all of these deeply hurtful past experiences. To just go back and acting like everything was fine and you didn't just spend the last hour and a half trauma dumping on people was just jarring. And I have no idea why he thought that that was a good idea. But that's really all I had to say about that. I wanted to talk about it earlier, but I got distracted by all the other shit that was on my docket last week. Here it is now. I still think that Tectone's a piece of shit. I think that he needs to not be talking about his traumatic past. I appreciate him trying to give context, but it also just read as very manipulative, given the fact that he's a known liar, to the point that people fact-checked his dad being in the military, and that's how this even came out. But yeah, I think he needs to go to therapy. He needs to talk to somebody privately about this and work through all of his shit. He needs to cut off his fucked up dad. And I think he needs to fucking move on from this. But given his pattern of behavior, I think he's just going to keep pretending like he's a victim. And that's just kind of it. This is the life he's made for himself, and there's no getting out of it at this point. So I might make videos on Tectone in the future if he ends up getting in trouble for the alleged abuse that he did to his ex. I will let you know. But yeah, it doesn't seem like the apple falls very far from the tree with this guy, does it? But that's about it. See ya.